This is the 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L. What's new about it? Well, the Hemi is dead, folks. It's officially gone. Its second generation, or its second take on the Hemi, if you will, after the famous performance muscle car engines of the 60s and 70s. It was killed for the same reason, emissions and fuel consumption. In its place is something called the Hurricane. Rather than a V8, it's an inline six. Rather than 6.2 or 6.4 liters, or 5.7 for that matter, it's 3 liters. Rather than naturally aspirated, it's got twin turbos. What it doesn't lack, or what it does have, if you will, is a lot of power. There's 510 horsepower here. There's 500 pounds-feet of torque. What's most amazing about the new Hurricane is that despite this truck, again, the 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L, weighing more than 3 metric tons, it can still accelerate to 100 kilometers an hour in around 5 seconds. That's like going skiing behind the Queen Mary. It's truly impressive. That being said, for those that like the rumble of the old V8, the inline six doesn't have much personality. That's of Jeep's own choosing, I suspect, because there are lots of inline sixes that make great sounds and are really quite evocative of internal combustion performance. Nobody's ever complained about BMW's inline sixes, for instance, being boring. So, we've established that the Grand Wagoneer L is humongous. That's on the outside. It's pretty much as big on the inside as well. Jeep claims that it's got the largest passenger volume of any large SUV made today. It also has the largest cargo capacity behind the third row seats of any SUV today. It actually has, I think, 44.2 cubic feet, even with the third row of seats up. That's incredible. There are cars that don't have that much. There are small crossovers that, even with their rear seats down, don't have that much. It's really impressive how much stuff you can cram into this Jeep. Basically, you could take all the rug racks to the grocery store and still have enough room to bring back a week's worth of groceries. The other feature that makes this Grand Wagoneer so practical for large families is that you can keep a child seat in the second row of seats while you slide them forward to let people into the rear seats. I'm told that it's like that, at least. I have no confirmation. My son, Matthew, has not blessed me with grandchildren yet with which I can test it. I'm waiting, Matthew. But I'm told it's true. We'll take Jeep's word for it on this. Okay, that takes care of the practical features, but you don't pay $130,000 in base trim, $140,000 as delivered for practical features. You pay for luxury. And my lord, does the Grand Wagoneer L have luxurious features. My lord, it's just jam-packed. There are enough touchscreens in this vehicle to power a tech studio. There's the main screen that I'm looking at right now. There's a foldable screen down below it. The passenger has a screen, and I've got another screen right here with the speedometer and everything. It's just chock-a-block. That said, it's really complicated. I'm the type that likes to have something intuitive and immediately recognizable. If you're the same, I don't think you like this car. On the other hand, if you like powerful infotainment systems and you're willing to learn about them, like my significant other driving zone, Nadine Filion, you're going to love this thing. It's got controls for absolutely everything. There's massage seats and there's so many different varieties. It's incredible. She's an expert on it. Unfortunately, she left it on this morning and I have no idea how to shut it off. So, that would be the dividing line there, wouldn't it? It's also got a 23 speaker, 1,375 watt Macintosh audio system. Truly amazing for clarity. If you're a aficionado of classical music, you're going to love this Macintosh system. If you're more of a bass pounding Bose kind of audiophile, you want to listen to rap or disco, perhaps it doesn't have the volume or the window rattling bass thump that you might expect from, again, 1,375 watts. Nonetheless, everything about this Wagoneer interior is just so impressive. I mean, how many Napa cows had to die to clothe this car? I mean, it's 226 inches, I think, from stem to stern. And after aluminum and steel, I'm pretty sure that leather is the third most prominent material in this vehicle. And it's all top quality. It's all tastefully colored. And it really makes this Grand Wagoneer feel more like a Range Rover than a Jeep, to be honest with you. Speaking of Jeepness and Range Roverness, this being the top of the line Grand Wagoneer Series 3, there are all manner of off-road bits. There's a Quadra lift suspension that will jack this up by more than 50 millimeters. There's a Quadra Drive 2 system that not only has locking differentials, but a limited slip differential in the back. That said, the likeliness of anybody using something this big deep off-road, or any deeper than a cottage road, are about as good as me voting Liberal in the next election. Not happening. Despite the lifting and all like that, there's just no way to take something that you can't park in an ordinary suburban garage through the tight confines of a trail like the Rubicon. It's ridiculous. So why Jeep's bothered with it, I'm not sure. I think even the basic Quadra-Track system will get people through the snow and the mud that are the worst circumstances and conditions that the Grand Wagoneer will ever see. That said, if you're that one person that is going to take this car off-road, it has the technology, if not the license. Here's one last thing before I sign off. As I've mentioned numerous times now, the Grand Wagoneer L version is humongous. It's huge. It's not the only one, of course. There's a Yukon XL from GMC. There's a Suburban, and Ford, or Lincoln, I should say, has the Expedition. No, Lincoln has the Navigator. They're all equally large. That's not, I'd say they're unnaturally large, in fact. And the reason isn't just because people want bigger vehicles, or there's been marketing to convince people to have bigger vehicles. It's the way for manufacturers to get around the American CAFE fuel economy rules. Way back 10-15 years ago when they were being crafted, domestic automakers said, well, we need to be able to still build large pickup trucks and SUVs because they're profitable, but we will still improve their fuel economy. So what we want you, Mr. Government, to do is craft rules based on something called a footprint, basically the size of the car. So each size range of a car is allowed a different fuel economy rating and also a different amount of improvement it must show every year according to the CAFE regulations. What that's allowed though is for manufacturers, instead of having to improve their fuel economy with new technologies, hybridization, cylinder deactivation systems, it's just encouraged them to build larger and larger vehicles. That's why a pickup truck or one of these large SUVs is so much larger today than it was than its predecessors. It's simply a workaround for the rules that were to make even these large behemoths more economical. And because the American dog wags the Canadian tail, that's why I'm driving around in this humongous Grand Wagoneer L that consumes so much gas, despite having the most sophisticated internal combustion engine that Stellantis has ever engineered. For Driving.ca, I'm David Brew.